you ready?
Hello and welcome to Snetterton here in Norwich under glorious sunshine for the very first round of the 2013 Performance Direct SR3 Challenge. Now, you may or may not be familiar with Radical sports cars, but let me tell you, with over 1,600 cars sold worldwide, they are actually the most popular sports racing car. And this season, we're expecting epic wheel-to-wheel racing. With 40-minute endurance races, driver changes and pit stops, it's all going to be going on. And here's Roger Green, Marketing Director of Radical, to tell us more about the restructure of the championship. Roger, we've seen lots of changes take place across the Radical Championships this year. Why the changes with the SR3 Challenge?
A number of reasons, really. They were based on what our customers wanted. The guys in SR3s last year always out there with SR8, so they didn't have an opportunity to win a race outright, and obviously it gets quite busy out there when you've got two different speeds of cars out there. So we split them up. That's what the guys wanted, and as you can see, we've got a very full grid and everybody's really excited about it.
And of course the 40-minute races, endurance racing, means we've got the opportunity for driver changes as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So you've got a mix here. You've got single drivers and two driver teams. Everybody has to make a pit stop the same length of time, so it equalises out if you've got two guys. So you'll see lots of action in the pit lane as well today.
For those who don't have a co-driver, do they have to get out, run around the car, do some press-ups, star jumps or anything ridiculous?
Actually, that's a good idea, because we're racing as a pair, so perhaps we should make them do that. No, they can sit there and have a cup of tea or something, and just a bit of rest, and off they go again. And
of course you're racing as well. How are you enjoying the challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. I just sort of jumped in the car for the first time yesterday in qualifying, so it's just a bit of fun, really. It's nice to be out there with everybody and seeing it all going on. So I'm racing with Phil Abbott, the boss, so I always have to bring the car back in one piece.
And we're expecting real close wheel to wheel, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely, and you'll see it all the way through the field as well. There's going to be loads and loads of battles. Obviously, there's going to be a really hot battle up at the front, and then you'll see the guys racing all the way down the field. It's going to be really good fun.
Patrick, Max, you driving together this weekend in the SR3, and Patrick, this is new for you this season. You've just graduated from Janessa's.
Yeah, absolutely. I did 1.5 years instead of juniors. That was my first ever year in racing, so it was important because I learned a lot, learned car control, learned the gears, and knew probably how to race. So when I first got into this car, I thought it quite easy with the downforce and everything. So yeah, I've been enjoying it.
And quite different, of course, being an open-top sports car.
Yeah, it's a little bit windy and a bit colder, and you get a bit wet, but that's real racing though, isn't it?
It certainly is. And of course for you, Max, you're no stranger to the open-top cars. You've done some of the Bark Renault stuff in the past.
Yes, that's right. I've only done a couple of races in Bark Renault, and again, this is a bit of a jump from Renault into a sports car, but it's going well.
Well, you both seem to have got it together this weekend, so to speak. You've qualified well with second for the first race and you qualified in 8th for the second race. That's respectable, especially amongst guys who have raced in these championships before.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Max and I weren't really, it was kind of a late deal to get us both together, and we really weren't expecting to be on the pace as this, but it's solely down to the team and the Rob, who got us on the pace really, really quickly. So a massive thanks to him, and yeah, just enjoying it.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. You looking forward to getting out there, Max?
Oh, can't wait. Bring it on.
Bradley, you're reigning Cup champion. You've moved into the SR3. It looks like you might take over world domination of the SR3s after qualifying today.
I'm not sure about that. It's going to be a tough challenge, especially racing against the pro guys. Never done a race this long before, so just be interesting to see how I hang up.
And of course, you've not got a co-driver, have you?
No, doing it all on myself. So I've been working on my fitness over winter. Just to sort of try and see what advantages I can get. But no, as I say, it's going to be a good challenge for us, and we'll just have to see how we go.
What's the reasoning for doing this championship? Is it something that's helping you work up a ladder into other formulas?
Yeah, I mean, we've never really gone racing to make a career of it, but I think doing the Radical Championship has definitely sort of opened up a lot of windows to like the LMP and the GT stuff, and I think nowadays that's a better way to go rather than the single-seater route. So, we will have a crack at it, and we're a family-run team still, so it's we all put the hard work in, and yeah, just have a bit of a laugh, really.
Well, you certainly seem to have the race pace with a 2.5 pole time ahead of everybody else, so I wish you the best of luck. Thanks, Bradley.
Thank you very much.
James, you're no stranger to radical racing. You've done 3 seasons already with the V8 cars, and you've moved across this season to the SR3 Challenge.
Yes, yeah. Mainly, obviously, because we've got rid of the SR8s for the UK rounds. SR3 Challenge looking really, really tight, so really looking forward to it.
Everyone's saying it's close competition.
Yes, yeah, very close. Apart from the incredibly fast pole time. Other than that, we're covered by a couple of tenths per position, so that should be really close.
And of course, you're dovetailing the SR3 Challenge Championship with Formula Ford as well.
Yes, yeah, I'm lucky enough to obviously be able to do 2 championships at once. The SR3s is brilliant, just seat time. You can just jump in the car and drive round and round and round, and it's quite similar in pace and feel to the Formula Ford, so hopefully going to use that to my advantage.
Well, we're down on the grid now, ready for the first race of the day. Remember, 40-minute endurance race. Here is Tom Jordan, 19-year-old driver, and he's already raced this weekend, so he's had a little bit more track time than the other competitors out there. He was racing in the Clubman's Cup and, in fact, finished second. Then, of course, we come over this way and we see James Abbott, who we spoke to a little bit earlier on. And James, over this side here, is again hoping to repeat his previous successes of motorsport, and he's looking for using the radicals as a stepping stone towards some of the Le Mans series, and he's also racing this season in Formula Ford, so he's got a lot of track time under his belt. Paul McLuhan here racing, of course, with Max Robinson as well, and Patrick McLuhan. Paul is his father, and Patrick here has put in an outstanding qualifying this time out this weekend here at Snet, and then with a 2.5 qualifying time ahead of all the others is young driver Bradley Smith. He said he's only doing motorsport for a bit of fun, but he certainly seems to be doing a pretty good job of it, and perhaps will convert that into a long-term career. Let's go racing here at Snetterton.
Thanks, Gemma. Full field of cars then for the SR3 Challenge. The entire field in Radical SR3s, and this the first race of the new 2013 Championship. So let's see who is going to score the first victory of the year. Well, in pole position we have got Bradley Smith alongside him, front row of the grid, the ex-Chester Junior racer Paddy McLuhan. Then row 2, James Abbott and Tony Wells, with Tom Jordan and Darren Anley locking out row 3, just ahead of the Autosport journalist Ben Anderson. Timothy Lyons towards the back of the field, just weaving around, getting some heat into his tyres as Smith bunches the field up, ready for the rolling start. And he really does take them out of Murray's at quite a steady pace here. Rolling starts, always a spectacular feature of radical racing, and this one's going to be particularly tight with the narrow width of the centre straight, and Bradley Smith to the fore of the field. Tom Jordan nestled there on the 3rd row. Can't even see when the lights flash out, which they have done now. He just plants his right foot and away he goes in pursuit of James Abbott. He may. Tom Jordan here dives to the inside of his teammate Tony Wells, but the front of the pack, it's Bradley Smith who's got the advantage over the fight for second, which swings in favour of James Abbott, who dives through tape second. McLuhan covers then 3rd from Jordan as they all safe the exit riches pound on towards the Montreal hairpin for the first time, and last year's Radical Clubman's Cup champion Bradley Smith already beginning to put a little bit of daylight between himself and the rest of the field. Milton Hall and Max Hilliard having a good scrap in the midfield, as it's Smith from Abbott, then McLuhan, Jordan, Tony Wells, Darren Anley, and the rest of them, Andy Cummings, also having a good tussle as well. A little bit lower down the order, Tom Jordan, who's had an excellent trip to Snetterton this weekend, scored his first ever podium finishes in the Radical Clubman's Cup, and he's carrying that form on very nicely. The Radical SR3 Challenge. The SR3, such a lightweight car, it means the braking distances are very, very short indeed for it. Gives us some spectacular on-track action. It also means that the drivers really have to think quite tactically through the race about where they're going to make their overtaking manoeuvres. So there's Darren Anley leading the charge from Ben Anderson on to the Bentley Straight. Timothy Lyons already gained a couple of places in the early exchanges. He's moved up ahead of Peter Belshaw, former British GT racer. The race leader, Bradley Smith, dominant in qualifying and dominant thus far in the early stages of the first race, the 2013 Radical SR3 Challenge. His advantage over James Abbott already a couple of seconds, and Abbott with them McLuhan and Jordan for company. Tom Jordan heads through Coram Curve, just fights the wheel a little bit as the right-hander tightens, arriving into left-hand flick at Murray's, and then squirting on to the centre straight through to complete the first lap of the season. And Bradley Smith already in reasonable command of this race, although the rest of them are doing everything they can to close the gap back down. The teams cheer them on the pit wall as through Rich's head Smith, then Abbott, McLuhan, then that gap back to Tom Jordan, who's got Tony Wells coming onto his tail. Then a nice scrap shaping up there is Ben Anderson, autosport journalist, also Formula V racer. In pursuit of Darren Anley, and he has then got Andy Cummings latched onto his tail. Anderson closes up on the brakes behind Anley. He can't quite challenge to make that move into the hairpin at Montreal. Instead they arrive into the first of 3 left-handers in a row, this one being Palmer. That will then propel them past the Tyrrell's Bar and Restaurant on to the hairpin at Agostini, which is where Tom Jordan has arrived now. Just giving the curbs a fairly wide berth, plants his right foot on towards the left-hander at Hamilton. Very quick corner this Hamilton. You don't think so, it looks very, very tight. The driver's just had, as you see, a brief lift, then into Augies, down 2 gears on the paddle shift for Tom Jordan, fights the wheel, and on towards Williams, going very nicely at the moment in 3rd place, the car of Paddy McLuhan and Max Robinson, their first appearance in the Radical SR3 Challenge, and doing very, very well to show this near to the head of the pack. Andy Cummings still staying in touch with the leading group, which I think he'll be pleased with, and he's got Jeremy Ferguson then on his tail. Ferguson, one of the few drivers in this race, along with the race leader Bradley Smith, who's going to do the full 40 minutes single-handedly. So he tries to chase down Andy Cummings. Tony Wells, a little bit frustrated maybe to be behind Tom Jordan, but he's got Darren Anley also sniping at his heels, and Anley, as we've been seeing, getting the hurry up because he has got Ben Anderson within his slipstream and looking to challenge. All the while though, Bradley Smith leads and continues to grow his advantage over James Abbott and McLuhan. Then we've got Tom Jordan, Tony Wells, Darren Anley and Ben Anderson. Great race underway here at Snetterton. Join us in a couple of moments to see who claims the victory.